Welcome to Power Within. This is where you'll uncover your hidden strength and create an extraordinary life. Today we're going to unveil the secrets of the habits that silently control you, and more importantly, how you can take back control and reshape your destiny. Have you ever wondered why you keep repeating the same actions, thoughts, and emotions, even when you know they don't bring the results you want? The secret lies here: habits. A habit isn't just brushing your teeth every morning or constantly checking your phone. It's a complex network of unconscious, automatic thoughts, behaviors, and emotions formed through repetition. Think about it. How many times have you woken up and immediately started thinking about your problems? Those problems are actually memory loops formed in your brain. And each memory is tied to specific people, objects, times, and places. If your brain is like a recording of the past, then each morning you wake up, you're unintentionally replaying the same experiences. And what's more, every memory carries a corresponding emotion. These emotions are created by past experiences. So the moment you recall a problem, you instantly feel sadness, frustration, even pain. What you think and what you feel form your state of being. If you start your day with the thoughts and emotions of yesterday, then your future will most likely be a repeat of your past. Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a loop of the same kind of days? Share your experience in the comments below. If you believe that thoughts can shape your destiny, but you can't think differently from how you feel, what then? If your thoughts are merely slaves to your emotions, then by definition your thoughts are trapped in the past. And this traps you in creating the same life over and over again. So what's silently controlling us? The subconscious program. Take a look at your daily patterns. You pick up your phone and unconsciously check messages, emails, Facebook. You snap a photo of your feet and post it online. You scroll through Twitter, Instagram, read the news, and feel connected to the familiar world. We all follow repeated behavior chains: getting out of bed on the same side, going to the bathroom, making coffee, showering, getting dressed, driving to work, doing familiar tasks, meeting familiar people, pressing familiar buttons. Over time, this becomes a rut, a pre-installed program. We've lost our free will, not because of some mysterious force, but because we're being controlled by a program. When the time for change arrives, that repeated cycle has already embedded itself deeply into our subconscious. Astonishingly, by the age of 35, 95% of who we are is a memorized set of behaviors, emotional reactions, unconscious habits, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions, all running like a complex computer program. So a person can say with their 5% conscious mind, "I want to be healthy, I want to be happy, I want to be free." But their body is running on a completely different program. So how do we actually change? Have you ever tried to change a habit and found it extremely difficult? What stopped you? Share your thoughts. To change, we must get beyond the analytical mind, because it's the barrier between the conscious and the subconscious. And this is where meditation plays a crucial role. Through meditation, we can learn to change our brain waves, to slow them down. When done correctly, we can access our operating system and begin to make profound changes. Sadly, many people wait for a crisis, a trauma, illness, harsh diagnosis, loss, or tragedy to finally decide to change. But I ask you, why wait? We can change through pain and suffering, or we can change through joy and inspiration. The good news is many people are waking up right now. One deeply fascinating topic that left a strong impression on me is trauma. People who've experienced trauma tend to relive it over and over again, and this often leads to failure after failure. Why is it so hard to break this pattern? The answer lies in emotional intensity. The stronger the emotional reaction to an event in life, the higher the emotional quotient of that experience, and the more we focus on its cause. When the brain focuses attention on the cause, it captures a moment and a memory is formed. Long-term memories are often created from experiences with intense emotions. So, from a neurological perspective, our thoughts get stuck in the circuitry of that experience. And chemically, we become imprisoned by the same emotions. When you have an emotional reaction to a person or an event, you often think that you can't control that reaction. But in reality, if you prolong that reaction, what's called the refractory period, for hours or even days, it turns into a mood. When someone asks you, "How are you?" and the reply is, "I'm not feeling well. This thing happened 5 days ago," That's an extended emotional reaction. If you sustain that emotional response for weeks or months, it becomes a temperament. Why is he so bitter? I don't know, go ask him. Why are you so bitter? Something happened to me 9 months ago. And if that emotional reaction lasts for years, it becomes a personality trait. So, learning how to shorten the refractory period of emotional responses is the starting point of change. People who've experienced problems often keep recalling the situation because the emotions from stress hormones, survival hormones, are telling them to be cautious, to prepare in case it happens again. It seems many people spend up to 70% of their lives in a state of survival and stress, trying to imagine the worst-case scenarios based on past experiences. As a result, out of all the potential realities in the quantum field, they choose the worst one, embrace it with fear, and create a state of fear within the body. If this state persists, the body reacts with a panic attack. And you can't predict it because it's a subconscious program. So when you ask someone, "Why are you like this?" and they say, "Because this happened to me 15 or 20 years ago," biologically that means they're stuck there. Because the emotions tied to that experience gave their body and brain a rush of energy. People become addicted to those emotional surges and use problems in their lives to reaffirm their limitations, to feel emotionally alive. Then comes the moment of change, but every time they recall the situation, the brain and body release the same chemicals as if it's happening all over again. The old neural networks automatically activate and send the same emotional signals to the body. What does this have to do with change? The body is the subconscious mind. It doesn't know the difference between emotions created by real experiences and those created by mere thoughts. The body believes it. It's reliving the same past experience 24/7, 365 days a year. Those emotions influence thoughts, and the thoughts regenerate those same emotions, keeping the person anchored in their past. So, the hardest part of change is not making the same choices you made yesterday. Period. The moment you decide to make a different choice, be prepared, because it's going to feel uncomfortable. The real problem is we keep triggering those old circuits and they become more automatic. One thought is enough to activate the whole program. Emotion follows thought. If you have a fearful thought, you feel anxious. The brain checks in with the body confirms the anxiety, and you start thinking thoughts that match that emotional state. Your feelings feed your thoughts. That repetitive loop turns the body into the mind. When the moment of change comes and a person steps into the unknown by making a different choice, suddenly they don't recognize their own emotions. The body says, "You've done it this way for 35 years and now you want to stop suffering, stop feeling guilty or unworthy. You don't want to complain, blame others, or feel self-pity anymore." The body has no reference point. It wants to go back to what's familiar. So, it starts affecting the mind, saying, "Do it tomorrow. You're just like your mother. You'll never change. This won't work for you. Something's wrong." If you react as if that thought is true, you'll always make the same choice, behave the same way, and create the same experience, which will generate the same emotion. I want to talk more specifically about the idea of the body becoming the mind, the subconscious mind. What exactly does that mean? Have you ever felt your body resisting the changes you want to make? Share what that feels like. Actually, those are two different things. The body is our subconscious mind. In a way, if you start thinking negatively about the future and begin to feel the emotions of that scenario, the body can't distinguish between what's happening in reality and what's only being created by thoughts and feelings. Most people continually reaffirm the same emotional states. So when the moment comes to change a feeling, they may say they want to change, but the body has more influence than the mind, because it's been trained that way. The servant has become the master. And when it loses its familiar reference points, it prefers pain and guilt, because at least those are predictable. Entering the unknown scares many people because the unknown means uncertainty. I often hear people say, "I can't predict what's going to happen. I feel like I'm in the dark." But the best way to predict your future is to create it, not from what we know, but from what we don't know. What thoughts do you want to activate and automate in your brain? What behaviors do you want to express throughout the day? By mentally rehearsing the behaviors you desire, by reliving the action. Living the spirit of the situation you want? Exactly the situation you want. Close your eyes and mentally experience an action. Close your eyes right now. Visualize an action you want to perform with confidence and success. Feel the positive emotions associated with that action. If you are fully present, because for the brain, there is no difference between what you imagine and what you actually experience in the 3D world, you begin to install neural circuits as if the imagined scenario has truly happened. At that moment, the brain is no longer a record of the past but a map to the future. Continue with this type of activation, and hardware becomes software, becomes a program. Who knows, maybe you'll start behaving like a happy person. I believe the hardest part is teaching the body new emotions, to feel something before you've actually experienced it. What does that mean? You can't wait to feel powerful only after you've succeeded. You can't wait to feel wealthy only after you've become rich. You can't wait for a new relationship to then feel love, or wait to be healed to then feel whole. That's the old model of reality based on cause and effect, waiting for something outside of us to change how we feel inside. When we feel good, we try to identify who or what made us feel that way. That's the Newtonian model, where people live in a state of lack, waiting for something external to change. The Newtonian world is a world of predictability, of anticipating what will happen. In contrast, the quantum model of reality is about causing an effect. When you begin to feel wealthy and worthy, you're creating wealth. When you feel powerful, you're walking the path to your own success. When you begin to feel whole, you begin to heal. And when you love yourself and all of life, you generate a matching reality and cause and effect. That's the difference between living as a victim, I am this way because of that person or that experience, they are the cause of my thoughts and feelings, and becoming the creator of your world, where you reverse the process and say, my thoughts and feelings are creating a different reality. That's a completely different story. At that point, we begin to believe that we are, in fact, the creators of our reality. How do we move from, I have a negative emotion that controls my life, I'm in a loop, I think and feel something that triggers a chemical reaction, my body gets addicted to that emotion and I may repeat the same behavior. Now I'm stuck in this loop, that's the unconscious. Yes, and you've asked, do your thoughts create your environment, or does your environment create your thoughts? A very, very interesting reflection in my opinion. What do you think affects you more, your thoughts or your environment? Feel free to share your perspective. But how do we break this cycle? What mechanism allows us to visualize situations where we feel empowered, to see ourselves in a different future state? Meditation? Yes. How so? If you don't define yourself by a vision of the future, you'll define yourself by a memory of the past, and you'll only ever become what you've already been. If you wake up in the morning and don't envision who you want to be, and then meet the same people, go to the same places, do the same things at the same times, then it's not your personality creating your reality, it's your reality creating your personality. Your environment, at that point, is controlling your unconscious thoughts and emotions. Because every person, thing, place, or experience wires a network in your brain. Every time we interact with someone, we have an emotional experience. You can use your boss to reinforce your dependency on judgment, your enemy to reinforce your dependency on resentment, your friends to reinforce your dependency on suffering. To feel something, you need the outside world. So, to change, you have to be greater than your environment, greater than the external conditions seducing you. Why meditation? Well, we sit down, close our eyes, and disconnect from the external environment. By seeing less, the brain is less stimulated. Listen to relaxing music or wear headphones, and the brain receives less sensory input. You're disconnecting from your environment. If you can keep your body still, and make it sit like you would with a pet, sit. When this is over, you can eat, you can check your emails and text as much as you want, but right now, sit still and do as I say. If you act in the right way without eating, smelling, tasting, or experiencing anything from the outside world, then the only thing left to define you is your thoughts. So when your body tries to return to familiar emotions of the past, and you notice your attention shifting toward them, remember this: where your attention goes, your energy flows. When you're redirecting your energy from the present moment to the past and become aware of it, that awareness is your superpower. Gently bring your body back to its place in the now. When your mind begins to drift into old emotional patterns, softly guide your attention back to your breath, or the feeling of your body sitting still. Your body might say, hey, it's 8 a.m., You're usually stressed out by traffic at this time. But you stay calm, you don't feel that familiar frustration. That means you're breaking the program. Oh, it's 11 a.m., you usually check emails and start judging people. Your body is searching for the chemical rush it's addicted to. But every time you recognize this and bring it back to the present, you're telling your body, you are not the mind, I am the mind. At that moment, your will is overriding the program. And if you keep doing this, consistently, patiently, it's like training a wild horse or an untrained dog. Eventually, it surrenders. And when it does, when the body is no longer running the show, there is a release of energy. You shift from particle to wave, from matter to energy, and free yourself from the emotional chains that have bound you to the past. We've witnessed this transformation thousands of times. In fact, we can predict it. We can see it in brain scans. So what did you learn from this? How will you apply it to your life starting today? What was your biggest takeaway from this message? And what one action will you take to start breaking free of old habits? Share it in the comments below. You've just watched a message from Power Within. If you found value in this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more powerful insights, and share it with someone you know who's also on the journey to unlocking their inner strength. The power is within you. We'll see you in the next video.